Hello again. We'll restart the Oxygen Users Meetup with Octavian, who will present some updates on the diff and schematron support in Oxygen. Then Alex and Sorin will show some updates on the support for Saxon and how you can use the command line tools that Oxygen provides. And then David and Soroush will present about Oxygen and localization. So I will let
Thank you, George.
Octavian show you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I will show you the Oxygen XML diff tools and especially how you can use them as an external tool integrated in your flow or as a plugin, maybe if you want to create a plugin and use our tools to do different stuff, show things. So we'll start with XML comparison, then I'll show you a Oxygen XML diff tool, the diff files tool, the three-way merge, and also the merging support that we added in the latest version 80.1 that allows you to merge chain sets of different files, different directories. So more and more people use XML for example, for technical documentation, and they work similar the documents, so they work concurrently, and after they've done their work, they want to put the files on a repository or on a CMS, depending on what repository he is using. Integrating these changes in the CMS or in the versioning system, it's not always easy, depending on what type of merging support you are using. If you are using a text comparison, sometimes it's not a good choice because the documents can get not well formed on the repository. So most built-in tools are using text comparison when they are showing the differences. And when you are using XML documents, it's better to use XML comparison. It's better because you'll see the exact changes. You can do the merging without breaking the document, and also because you can add some ignoring options, maybe some IDs or some generative stuff in your documents that you don't want to see when you are merging the documents. And also it is important to have comparison against the base. So if an user changes some documents and add them to the repository, then another user can come and change the same document. And at a later time, he wants to integrate these changes. But in order to see the differences and merge the content, he needs to see his changes. So the version that he was modified compared with the starting version, and also the other user changes, so the version that the other user changed with his modification. And this should be linked somehow in order to merge them. And here's a simple workflow. So let's say a user changes a document, started to edit, he added on the repository, I think it's okay. But if another user changes the same document and wants to add his changes, he needs to compare the version that he started to edit with the current one to see his changes, and the version, the base version, with the current version from repository to see the changes from the repository. And after this, he can see what are the conflicts, what are the outgoing changes, what are the incoming changes. So for this, you need a three-way comparison. You need a comparison with the base. You need to compare the base version with your version, and also the base version with the other or the remote version. and then see the modification in a view. Oxygen has different tools for comparison. We have, for example, diff directories, which allows you to compare to the directories and compares them in a two-way mode. We have diff files, which allows you to compare two files, but against a base also, and see the modification and can be integrated in different systems. We have the new tool, which is compare directories against a base, which allows you to compare two directories or two file sets against a common base, and it will show you the changes. For example, if you are making modification on a repository, you can merge the entire file sets. And we have also an automatic merge tool, which is available from API and will help you to merge two files, and also it compares against a base, so it automatically tries to solve the conflicts and gives you the merged version. Next, I'll focus on the three-way diff tools and how you can integrate them from different applications, and I will show you some demos. So the diff files tool has some command line parameters that you can pass it. For example, the -x, which means that it's called from an external application and will be configured to see a simple version of the diff, and will hide some of the actions that are available in the original diff tool. Then you can pass the files, the left file, your file, the right file, the remote file, the base version, and in case you want to save the merge result in a different file, you can pass also as parameter the merge result file. And there are two other parameters which allows you to make the left or the right editor read-only, or both, in case you want to preview, for example, the modification and you don't want to let the user to modify the content. And I will show you how a command line should look like. I have here, I've created a command line, and this starts the diff files tool and passes 3 parameters. This is how an application should pass the parameters. And if I paste this in the command line, we'll see that the diff files tool will start, and we'll have the modification presented here in the editor, and you can see them very easily. You can merge them. You can also edit the file, because I leave it editable the left side. For example, you can integrate Oxygen with SourceTree. SourceTree has a diff tool, which is line-based and compares as text. And it's hard sometimes to see the exact changes that were made. For example, here we have 2 paragraphs, but it's hard to determine what are the real changes in these 2 paragraphs. So it says that the entire paragraph is removed and another added, and here it's a title also. In Oxygen, it will look like this. So you'll see that the colors are not so good. So you'll see that here there is an uppercase for the first, and here are some words that were changed. So it will show you the exact changes that were made in that paragraph. And I will show you an example. I have here a file which has a paragraph that it's modified, and let's configure also the files to show these differences directly from the source tree. So for this, you need to set some parameters in the diff option, in the SourceTree diff options, and you need to specify the external tool that you want to use, and are some arguments that are expanded to the file from current working file, and the file from the branch that you have locally. So Git gives you as macros, for example, this macro, when the diff tool is called, it will be expanded to the current working file, and the local will be expanded to the local working copy or local branch file. And because I want to use it as a three-way diff tool, I'll pass it also the base being the same, because I don't have any change. And for the merge, you need to pass 4 parameters. There is the local, the remote, the base, and the merge result, because in the merge you want to save the result in a separate file. And if we go in the SourceTree, we have here the preferences, and I already configured this. So I have here a custom tool. I specify that I want to use the files tool from oXygen, and I specify the parameters. And also for the merge tool, it's similar. And after you set these parameters here, then you can use the command D to start the external diff tool, or just use the action from this menu. And automatically it will start the diff files to see the changes, and I can see that in that paragraph it's just a simple change. So it's easy to spot the changes, and you can also make modifications here in the editor. You have support for XML documents to edit them and correct different things if you want. Next, you can integrate diff also from the command line tool. So this is another way in case you are using Git from command line. You need to add some configurations lines in the git config file, and then you'll be able to run the diff files directly from the command line. There is also another way of doing this configuration. You can just run some commands, git config, and oXygen diff tool will be configured. You don't need to go to the config file anymore, so just run these lines, and then you'll have oXygen as a diff tool. And I'll show you, I have these lines here. I just replaced the path with my current path from the computer. And if I take these lines and I paste it in the command, then run it. Let's clear the console. Then I can say git diff to see the current differences, and this is the standard diff that Git gives you. And if I say git diff tool, it will start oXygen diff files tool, and I can see the exact changes that is made in that paragraph. So it's easier to see the changes, it's easier to modify the document, and also the changes that you'll see will be XML aware. And if you have also other modification, then in this case I have other modification in the directory, then another difference will be presented depending on. Then we have the compare directories against a base. This is the new tool that we have in oXygen 18.1. And this allows you to identify multiple changes in some directory structure. So you have need to have a similar directory structure. And it's useful when you want to integrate, for example, a project. Let's say you have a project and you want to give the project to someone for reviewing or for, I don't know, for contributing to the project. And you can send it, for example, you can make a zip and you can send it, okay, just contribute to my project. Then you want to get the project back and integrate the changes. But you can have also other changes that you've made in the project. So you need to compare the version that you got from the user that made the changes with the base version that you sent, and with the current version from the from your project. And you can integrate the changes that the other user made in your project. And for example, let's say there is a data project and you will send this to some user, Bob, and he will make some changes in the data project, but you'll also make some changes. And at a later time, you need to compare Bob's version with the base one and with your, and this will be presented in a mode that will allow you to integrate those changes. So you'll see the files that are modified. You have filters to see only the changes made by other users, or see also your changes. You have support to automatically merge all the files without looking maybe, and also to see each file and integrate it separately if you want. You can make modifications in the editor, and you have different actions. And I'll show you an example. This tool, it's available from the tools menu, but it's available also from the API. So you can use it from a plugin, for example, and create this type of merging, called the dialog, and do the merging of maybe on a CMS, or integrate some files on a repository if you want. I will show you an example from the tools menu. So let's say I have here the original version of the project that I sent. Then I have my version, and also the one that the user reviewed. And if I hit compare, I can see the incoming changes. So by default are presented the incoming changes. This is the filter, the changes that were made by other people. But I can see also my changes. If I use this filter button, I can see the conflicts if I want. And I have different actions here. I can see the modifications in the file. And these files are editable. You can make also modification later. You can accept the changes if you want. You can say, okay, I want to accept these changes. Or you can ignore remote modifications, and you can solve conflicts here. And you have also this action which allows you to automatically merge all the changes. If it's possible, oXygen will try to solve the conflicts automatically in the editor. So as I told you, this support is available from API. So it's available in the diff files and merge tools, and there is also a link here to the API. And you need to pass it for three folders: the base directory, the personal folder, and the external folder, and some merging options. And you'll get the files that were merged after the user makes the modifications. At the end, you get what files were deleted, what files were modified, and what files were added during the merging process. And as options, there are 3 options available right now. There is the filter support, there is the merge dialog title that can be customized. But the most important one is that you can pass a virtual path. So for example, if you want to merge the files in a temporary folder, and when the user clicks the finish button, he will update a project that it's on your computer locally, but you want that the user to see the local files. You don't want the user to see that the merging is done in a temporary folder. You want to see the output when he clicks the finish button, where the modification will go. And for example, as a use case, you can use this dialog to integrate changes on a CMS. Make the merging locally, and then you get the files that were modified and just update it on the CMS or on your local system. Or you can use it, for example, for a refactoring action, just to preview the files that were modified during the process. There is also an automatic merge support. This is used in web app, for example, to merge automatically the files that are committed on Git if are conflicts there. And this is available also as API, and you'll need to give the file contents, 3 file contents, the local file, the remote file, and the base, and will merge the content automatically. This is also available from the API. And of course, we have also the Delta XML plugin available in oXygen. It's a different approach. The diff will be presented in the author page as change tracking. But for more details, you can check their website. So thank you. This was about the XML diff support. And if you have any questions, okay.
Octavian, sorry, I've been running late and missed the first 5 minutes. When you first released that, like last year, I think, I have been able to save merge changes, like from a merge conflict in Git. Is this possible now?
To save the merge result?
Yeah.
You're saying? Yes, we added also this merge output, which is the file where you want to save the merge result. So it's possible now.